Sorry for the background noise. It's raining outside. I got the window open. It's a nice breeze, so I'm trying to relax a little bit. But I stopped doing videos for a while, man, because I just wanted to take a break. It was a lot of stuff going on with this whole COVID-19 thing, so I just I don't know. I just been trying to stay relaxed as much as I could, but I've been keeping track of what's been going on, particularly with what you see here, the Tom Brady Tampa Bay storyline that's going on that people seem to love. It seemed like the only thing that people have to talk about are like maybe 5 topics in major sports because nothing else it seems to be happening. So, Brady in Tampa and New England is one of those storylines. But I've been watching some videos. I've been getting other people's opinions on what's going on, and I've been watching a lot of sports analysts comment on what they believe may transpire this upcoming NFL season. That is, if we have one. And I'm pretty sure I said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Do I think Tampa Bay will make it to the Super Bowl? Probably not. I don't think there's enough time. I don't think there's to go on a run like that. You need chemistry. You need familiarity. It takes I don't know, man. It takes time. All right. Now, sometimes you do have flash in the pan teams, but do I think that with the short amount of time that they have to prepare, do I think they'll make it? Probably not. Would I be surprised if they made it? No. But do I think Brady's career is over? Not yet. I think last year was an anomaly. I think that Brady suffered some pretty messed up situations that went on in New England that contributed to his play in particular, and which resulted in the team's play being as poor on offense as it was. Now, I'm going to say this before I start the video, okay? I'm going to say this because I just watched the video. I believe the guy's channel is on Q Sports, and the name of the video is The Problem with Tom Brady. I'm going to say this, okay? Yes, the offense was horrendous last year for New England. Yes, the defense for New England last year was top-notch for a huge chunk of the season. One could make the argument that Belichick was more focused on the defense. I would be surprised if Belichick had any input, had any real, had any intention of actually fixing that offense. Because, like I said before, I said this in a couple other videos, that was the first time we've ever seen New England just pluck offensive linemen out of free agency. Now, yeah, the injuries to the offensive line was pretty significant, but normally New England has issues on the offensive line with injury, and what they would do is the guys that they have on their bench, they would just coach them up and throw them in there when the time was right. And whether they play well, they played well. If they didn't, they didn't. But you've never seen New England pluck multiple offensive linemen out of free agency with no time to prepare and throw them in the starting lineup. How many wide receivers did they pick up? Like 18? They supposedly signed 18 wide receivers and released them all. I mean, you may have had 2 wide receivers that stuck, but most of them just were released, traded, whatever. You drafted N'Keal Harry with the first pick. He missed the first 9 games of the season with an injury, and then when he comes back, he makes a few splash plays, but people consider him to be a disappointment, even though he missed the first 9 games of the season. But let's get to it, man. Let's get to the video, man. I've been holding that in for a while.
Shannon, do you agree Brady will have a bounce back year even at 43 years old?
With the weapons that the Buccaneers have versus what he had to work with last year, where all the wide receivers seem to have a problem with getting the release that they needed, the tight ends in combination with one another didn't even make a halfway decent tight end. The offensive line was just atrocious. The run game was bad because of a result of the offensive line and the fact that Brady couldn't get the ball downfield. It's funny how people like to make fun of Brady for not being able to throw the ball downfield or complete this pass or that pass, or his passing percentage was terrible or whatever. You know, his downfield throws. Like they like to make fun of those things. But it's not easy to throw to a receiver that cannot get any space. And the only receiver that seemed to make big plays under the kind of pressure that the receivers were under was N'Keal Harry late in the season. But let's get to it.
I might need to look up bounce back because Skip Bayless has been telling me that Brady played great. So why would you need to bounce back? You know, having played sports and been around sports, I know you have a bad quarter. Don't worry about that. We'll bounce back in a second. But I wonder if somebody gonna say Lamar Jackson needs to have a bounce back season after 2019. Oh, so in other words, now Gil Brandt. Now I know Gil. Skip, you know Gil. You've been around Gil. Gil described Tom Brady's season as mediocre. I guess because, Skip, you know, I'm not in the Hall of Fame as a talent evaluator. You know, I didn't draft Bob Lilly and all these other guys and signed, you know, Michael Irvin. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. But I said that, and I've been saying that for the longest time. Now, Gil tag along, Tom Brady had a mediocre season. I think it was less than mediocre because Tom Brady was 19th in QBR. There's only 32 quarterbacks that could qualify.
And what is what was the reason for it? There was a causality to the fact that he did not play as well as he normally does. The weapons just wasn't significant. They weren't a factor. The fact that Brady was able to put up whatever he put up, period, with how duct taped together that offense was impressive. Because people like to go out on a limb and say, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't have this player, he doesn't have that player, completely ignoring the fact that he has Devontae Adams, who has developed himself into a top 10 wide receiver. Or the fact that, a lot of these late round wide receivers that they draft seem to produce well when you throw them in the game. Oh no, it's not them playing well. It's Aaron Rodgers throwing them the ball, and they're magically open because of the fact that Aaron Rodgers is the one dishing them the ball. I think it's disrespectful for any quarterback, Brady included, for you to dismiss the impact that the weapons around them have. Like certain quarterbacks are so great, they make other people great. If that's the case, then Jerry Rice isn't as good as everybody believes he is. Because Joe Montana and Steve Young pretty much made that dude as great as he was. If this is the case, if the quarterback's play is the one above all, then Joe Montana is the reason why Jerry Rice is great. Shannon Sharp is only great because John Elway was there. And I'm not going to go down the list, man, because there's a lot of examples I could use to kind of make that argument, but sometimes you have to give the weapons their respect, because when you don't have them, you notice a difference in every quarterback. Patrick Mahomes struggled a little bit last year because of the injuries to the receivers that he had. He struggled a little bit early on. He wasn't as explosive as he was the prior year. But once Tyreek Hill came back and all those, everything was in place, and then we started to see a different Chiefs team. So let's not act like the weapons aren't a factor when it fits your argument, because they like to do that.
That's not good. He's 27th in yards per attempt and completion percentage. Is that very good, Skip? And the Skip Bayless stat that he loves so much, let me tell you what. Now, he loved this stat in 2018 and 2017. It's called throwaways. Tom Brady led the NFL in throwaways. Skip Bayless, look, Aaron Rodgers just throwing it away because he wants to keep that interception percentage intact. Your guy led the NFL in throwaways, was 27th in completion percentage and yards per attempt.
These are two different situations, two different game plans, two different schemes. When if Tom Brady is holding on to the ball, that's because the routes aren't open. Because their offense is pretty much timing routes. It's pretty much a West Coast offense. That's pretty much what it is. Joe Montana was in the same kind of offense because I forgot somebody, I think it was Joe Montana that came out and said when he dropped back, after he was done his drop back, he knew who he was going to, he knew where they were going to be, he knew where to put the ball because it was about timing. And that's the offense that Brady is in. This is why you see Brady throw a bunch of short passes. This is why you'll see him throw it to the sideline a bunch of times. This is why you'll see him throw slants most of the time. It's because it's about timing. It's timing routes. That's different than almost the playground style of play that the Green Bay Packers played while Aaron Rodgers were there, where you would just send 3 or 4 wide receivers out there and let Aaron Rodgers use his legs and use his brain to kind of improvise on the fly. Two different offenses, man. When Aaron Rodgers throws the ball away, it's because he doesn't want to throw fucking picks. It's definitely because of that. I'm not saying he won't throw the ball when the game is on the line, but if it means to avoid throwing an interception, even if you have a chance to complete the pass, he will choose to just throw the ball away. We have seen that. Where he is not a risk taker. And I'm not saying like he needs to gamble every single play. It's not what I'm saying. But sometimes you need to make certain throws. And when Brady got in that situation where he had to make those throws, they resulted in interceptions, man, because the receivers just wasn't getting open. The receivers weren't getting open. And I said it right after the game, during the game when it happened, when Julian Edelman dropped a wide open pass in the flat. He dropped a wide open pass. I said to myself, they're going to lose because of that. Because that was the difference between first down and fourth down. They were going to lose because of that. And they wound up losing the game. Because on that drive that Edelman dropped that pass, they were on the roll. They were moving the ball. They actually started to look a lot better. It looked like the defense of the Tennessee Titans started to wear down more. And we actually saw some movement. But then Edelman dropped a crucial third down ball late in the fourth quarter, and they gave the ball back to Tennessee, and it just wasn't enough time on the clock. Brady got caught up in trying to force things down the field, and it's usually how it happens. Brady is human. Nobody that has watched Brady and supported Brady for as long as the Patriots fans have done that will pretend that he's anything more, would not pretend that he's anything more than human. He's human.
15th in QBR. If a Skip Bayless and others would tell you Tom Brady played great, you blamed it on the receivers. But here's what's going to happen, Skip. Now, Tom is in a new environment, and I'm not saying that he's going to be god awful, but there'll be games that he will struggle. Who are you going to blame it on? Now, you told me yesterday Chris Godwin is the best receiver in football. They got the best receiving core in football. With Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronk comes back, Cameron Brake, and O.J. Howard. I don't hear any excuses. There should be no excuses for Tom Brady not to throw for 5,050 touchdowns because you said he's exponentially better than Jameis Winston. Jameis threw for almost 5,233. So given by my calculation, Tom Brady should break Peyton Manning passing record, Peyton Manning touchdown record, and they should be 16-0. That's what should happen because Tom Brady is the GOAT, so says Skip Bayless. He's so much better than Jameis, and he will take care of the football. So I'm looking at about 57 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 15-1, and that should be comeback player of the year and unanimous MVP. Right, Skip?
Your prediction?
Look, I like watching Shannon, man. I like this shit, but most of the time, Shannon just looks like a clown, man. He looks like a clown. And I get what he's doing. The whole facetious shit that he's doing. I get it. But, look. If one situation is better, if the resources are better, see, people get caught up in the numbers. They think the numbers is what proves who's better and who's not. Because right now in sports, numbers are above everything else. And that's not true. But they believe it's true. Because when Russell Westbrook won the MVP with that triple-double he had, was Russell Westbrook, because he averaged a triple-double, which hasn't been done in a long time, and he won the MVP award, was he the best player in the NBA? His numbers were better than a lot of other people's. A lot. I'm talking maybe 97, 98% of the NBA. Probably bigger than that. And he won the MVP award. His team wasn't as good, but he apparently his stats were so good. Russell Westbrook should have been and should still be a top 5 player in the NBA. Because if stats matter that damn much, LeBron James is no longer the best player in the NBA. It's James Harden and Russell Westbrook. So,
I'm saying, write your calculation. Write your calculation. Write your calculation, yes.
Okay, well, on this show, I just go along for the ride with the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp. It's always by your calculations that I react. And all I know is that the Hall of Famer has told me consistently for 4 years, Tom Brady is in decline. The Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp predicted in 2016, this will be Tom Brady's final year. 2017, final year. 2018, final year. That's what he told me. And I have to react to that because you're in the Hall of Fame. I'm not in the Hall of Fame. I'm way down here in the flats in West Los Angeles in my tiny little humble abode, stuck up in my loft here, looking up at you in your palatial estate. And now back to the other Hall of Famer, Gil Brandt. I did cover Gil for many years in Dallas. I know him all too well. I know the good and I know the bad. Well, Gil Brandt has declared that Tom Brady was mediocre last year. So I have to react to that because the piece that he wrote is presuming that Tom was mediocre. So,
and people have a knack for saying that, because there are people out there that actually support and enjoyed the years that Brady put in the NFL, because I've been raised up on sports. I can get on here and talk about how I believe that the NFL, the NBA, MLB, there's a lot of things that are going into it that kind of makes it less simulation and more orchestrated. I can get on there and say that. But I've been raised up in sports. I mean, it's been a huge part of my life because I love the game. I love football. I love basketball. I love baseball. I love it. I love everything. And sports is a huge part of my life. And with the world that we live in, where everything is so fucking confusing and everything is so mismatched and all over the fucking place, what are the rare treats that I have to look forward to? One of the rare treats, because this is just the way life is. This is why the small things should be appreciated. I appreciate sports. It's a small thing, but it's big to me. We all have small things that are huge in our lives that may be small in other people's lives. So I don't want to go on, the narrative route and talking about how, who actually means what they're saying and all this. I don't want to get into that argument. I'm just going off of what I'm hearing. Like I said, early on when I first started this is as surface level as I'm going to get. I'm just going to react to what I'm hearing. But it's funny how when people show support for Tom Brady and they showed support for the years that he invested in the game, and how I will never, for the rest of the time I live, I will never be able to talk about the NFL without mentioning Brady at some point. There's a bunch of players I could say that for. I really wasn't around to watch Emmitt Smith play. I wasn't around to watch Joe Montana, John Elway, to witness that firsthand. But I have seen Peyton Manning play. I have seen Patrick Mahomes. I've seen Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick. I've seen these guys play. These guys are the greats to me because I've seen them. I've witnessed their ability and what they were able to do. Tom Brady is, in my opinion, the greatest of the greats. I know some people say Jerry Rice. I know some people that say Joe Montana, John Elway. But to me, Tom Brady is the guy. And the same people that berate those people for supporting him is on the other end of the spectrum talking down his name, trying to completely overlook the fact that he has put in the work. He has done the job. And I think it's majorly hypocritical. And this is why I say hypocrisy is a part of human nature, because it's just a part of who we are now. Because people are hypocrites and they don't even realize it half the time. But let's get to it, man.
Shannon Sharp told me that last year Tom Brady was so in decline, he lost arm strength and he lost his nerve, or at least some of his nerve, in the pocket.
And what I have to say about that, which is I've already said, Tom Brady, for the first time that I've been watching the NFL, I've never seen, with 5 offensive line out there, a team on the other side in like the second and third quarter rush three players, and immediately, before the quarterback was even done his drop back, those 3 men rushing against those 5 blockers was able to get immediate pressure immediately. And when I say I mean immediately get pressure on Brady. Go back and look at some of those plays. One play in particular was Houston. They rushed 3 guys. They got to Brady immediately, but before he was even done his drop back. How does that happen?
Yes. Wouldn't stand in against the rush. So, isn't it then fair to presume that Tom Brady is now at least a candidate for bounce back player of the year? Wouldn't you presume it by your analysis, by your standards, isn't he a candidate for bounce back, right?
I don't know what Tom Brady did to Shannon Sharp at some point, but Shannon Sharp holds a certain amount of vitriol towards Tom Brady that something personal had to happen. Because the way he talks about him with such disdain is odd. It's odd. It's odd when you sit there and you analyze it. Why does he hate this guy so much? And it's hate. Because whenever he talks about Tom, it's always to the extreme. It's never just in the middle. And sure, he has come out and said that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. He's come out and said that. But it's not hard to admit that. That is, it's not like you're losing respect because of it. It's not like you're losing respect because of it. But I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what Brady did to most of the fucking NFL players that's in the league. But something had to happen. It could just be plain and simple hate. Because when players played and they weren't as admired as Brady is, players can feel some type of way. Like, wow, I was great. Nobody looks at me. Nobody talks about me in that fashion. I did my job well. I helped us win. But nobody talks about me or looks at me in that way. Why are they looking? What's so special about that guy? And that can happen, especially in a profession as competitive as professional sports, where athletes are, some of the best athletes are egomaniacs. So I can see how some of them, like Shannon Sharp was a great player, don't get me wrong, but I can see how some of them could feel unappreciated when you start talking about a Tom Brady who gets showered with such admiration and adulation. I mean, I can see that, but you're a grown man, Shannon. Whatever it is that you're holding against this guy, you gotta let that shit go. I just had a conversation with a family member of mine, and I was telling them the difference between children and adults is adults' ability to make decisive decisions. Like, not be, sometimes taking the L because it means that you'll win in the long term. Being able to play the long game, not immediately acting off of whatever it is you're feeling in the moment. Adults' ability to do that is what separates them from children. Because kids do whatever they feel like in the moment. They don't think about the consequences of tomorrow, of next week, of later in that day. But adults are supposed to have that foresight. Not foresight. I don't want to make it seem like it's some ESP shit. The adults are supposed to have the ability to think about potential outcomes. This is what is supposed to click on that little light in your head that goes, hold on, these are the possible ramifications of me doing this or saying this. And it's only something you can develop over years of experience. But I just don't get that from Shannon when it's a Brady topic or a LeBron topic or an Aaron Rodgers topic. I just don't get that. I don't think that light clicks on for him. And you can make that argument about a lot of analysts, but I'm just talking about Shannon for right now. But that's it, man. I'm in this video, man. My videos usually run between 20 and 30 minutes. I know. But I got tired of the narrative that was being pushed. I'm still riding with the Patriots. I've been a Patriots fan since I was 14. I'm going to be a Patriots fan probably for life. But I will be looking at Brady. I will be watching what goes on in Tampa Bay. I will be rooting for that guy because Tom Brady, and I said this before, Tom Brady is the only professional athlete in the history of professional sports who was constantly doubted, even after his greatness was already clarified. Still doubted and still just diminished in some of the worst ways possible. But he rises above it. And I think that kind of, even if you don't respect the player, you have to respect the man that don't let shit like that get in his way. That's something to be respected. But I'm done, man. All right.